Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now the middle of April of 2025, and given that the Meghan Markle drama is only getting worse as time moves on, we know that she has a lot of complications right now between herself, the Netflix CEO Greg Peters, the many executives over there, the producers, the board of directors. The ongoing issues that Meghan Markle created herself are really showing no signs of a resolution in sight, quite frankly, and it's only creating more problems within the entirety of Hollywood. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. So one thing about Meghan Markle right now is that we know that she is not taking the criticism well when it comes to her series with Love Meghan Season 1 and what they are calling a Season 2, and I keep pointing this out, it's really just a Season 1 Part 2 based on how they filmed this thing. Now what's interesting about this is that we already know that they are planning to do extended filming or additional filming for this June to provide extra cameos into the series, to also lengthen each episode a little bit by like an extra 10 to 12 minutes per episode. But this is where it really gets interesting, is exactly what Meghan Markle admitted when it comes to her overall stance against the criticism about with Love Meghan Season 2, and well, let's just say it's something that is really beyond unexpected, because we know that Meghan Markle is going to an extra length to really just do something that's going to create a lot of controversy. Now, again, we already know that Netflix, they're pretty much fed up with Meghan Markle at this point. They want to move on to other projects. They don't really necessarily want to renew her contract once it does expire by, I believe, this September. But what's interesting about this further is that with the Meghan Markle drama only getting worse for Netflix, both behind the scenes and in the public eye, one major development going on now involves more to do with Meghan Markle's recent behavior after she received pushback from Netflix CEO Greg Peters. Now this comes in the midst of creative differences happening right now for With Love Meghan Season 2, where the majority of the Netflix board members agreed to bring on politicians for this program. However, Meghan Markle recently delivered the following in an act of desperation. When you are a woman, I think the most important thing in this world is that you have to stand up for what's right, and that is to take a stand against some of the most major issues going on right now in the world, such as sexism, misogyny, bigotry, and toxicity. We are seeing this far too often coming from society against the film industry. And I think it's a growing issue that must be stabilized. As a proud feminist and activist, I will say that this is my #1 priority right now, to tackle those issues, and how we address that in Season 2, I think is going to be a very creative process. The absolute gem of my series is that we combine housework and cooking with very complex subjects, and the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion will definitely be a focus for Season 2. The guests that we are going to have on the show I think will surprise everyone, but it's going to create division, and for the wrong reasons. But that's the point. Sometimes you have to expose the issues at hand that are happening in society, and it all comes from love. Hence the title of my series, With Love. We had to make it lighthearted while also pressing on some very concerning issues for Season 2. And we are going to do with some very well-known, like-minded people that are widely known. Now guys, before I move on, again, Meghan Markle is obviously acting like an activist, is what I like to call them. These are basically actors that disguise themselves as activists, or should I say vice versa. We have a lot of that going on right now in Hollywood, and we have been dealing with this, honestly, since like 2015, 2016. But moving onwards, we already know that the whole point of Season 2 currently is for Meghan Markle to take it up a notch with her views on activism, with her views on growing issues in quote-unquote society. And look, this is exactly why Meghan Markle sounds exactly like Rachel Zegler. Ironically, they're both Rachels, which is quite funny. But this is exactly why people are just growing tired of these personalities. I would just call them just that, personalities at this point. But these actresses that like to be labeled as these actresses really like to promote their activism, their views on politics far too often, to the point that it just drives people away from the brand entirely, or from the studio entirely, right? We have people leaving Netflix in droves right now. We have people heading to other streaming platforms. So she goes on to continue, and the types of people that are creating such issues on this wonderful earth. I am proud to admit that we will be doing some extended work for our next season, and we will have some guests on board that I'm sure is going to create a ton of buzz. And sure, it's going to anger some out there, but just know that they are all coming from a minority and are serving as just a very loud and vocal voice shouting into a void. This is a series about educating women on how to be skilled in the household, while also educating them on the importance of certain subjects. So again, there she goes again about how this is an educational piece, that this series is going to be about educating women. We know that Meghan Markle said not too long ago that she believes that there's a lot of uneducated individuals, not just in the US, but also in the UK and around the entire world, that really needs to be improved in her point of view. So, look, the fact that they always try to tie either politics or activism or world issues or just out of whack, opinions into the press tour, into the promotion of their shows and or films, this is when you drive people away. This is when you even drive potential viewers away. And that's exactly what's been happening, not just with Meghan Markle, but also with a lot of other actors, actresses, musicians, producers, writers out there that keep spewing such nonsense, So again, the fact that she's alluding to the fact that there will be guests coming on for season 2 that will be labeled as controversial or creating a lot of buzz, quote unquote, I think what she's alluding to there is exactly what we've been talking about for the past 3.5 weeks now, is that Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris have both agreed to make short cameos on With Love Meghan season 2, episode 3 and episode 6. And that is a thing. Alright, the board of directors, the majority of them, allowed that to happen, and unless something else changes down the road, for now, they are both coming on the show for additional filming to take place by this June. So, that's going to be interesting, and not in a good way. But, moving onward, she goes on to actually close, if people don't understand the purpose of our program beyond what I just laid out, I don't know what else to tell them. This is exactly what we need, better education in the US and around the entire globe. It just needs to happen. And we can do that through special programs like mine, for example. It's going to be a game changer, and I am ecstatic to see the difference. So again, there she goes, labeling this series as a game changer, or how this series is going to educate so many out there in the US over here, or in the UK, or anywhere around the globe. So the fact that she's turning this into a quote-unquote educational piece, or at least promoting it like that, that's what she's essentially doing, that's going to drive away even her own fans. Because we already know that some of her own fans, believe it or not, she does have fans, but even her own fans are beginning to actually abandon ship from Netflix. Alright, that's exactly how bad the series really was. As you all saw on Rotten Tomatoes, as you all saw the ratings disaster for With Love Meghan, you can only expect that season 2 is going to be even worse by this fall. Alright, they're aiming to drop this thing by early September, mid-September. That's their overall goal right now, and maybe earlier than that, depending on the production cycle, but we'll talk more about that down the road. Overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about the whole Markle situation at hand here, and everything else going on with Season 1 Part 2, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.